everybody? David here with the PowerCast Team Powerhouse. It is a very exciting night tonight. A little different than what we expected. Erik Vasquez couldn't make it tonight due to the fact he had to get a home inspection, last minute change of plans. And our scheduled guest couldn't make it tonight. Rescheduled him for the 26th of August. And filling in like a rock star, last minute, Michael Christoforo, GRA, Guaranteed Rate Affinity, the number one most exclusive mortgage broker you'll ever meet and talk to. This is the third time I've had you on the show, huh?
Yeah, it is. Third time.
And the third time is a reason for that, because you're so good about what you know. Just a reminder to all of you, if you haven't already, and please do, guys, please go to our YouTube channel. Subscribe. Go to Team Powerhouse Real Estate, hit subscribe, join us every week or on the replay. You can watch us and listen to you can watch us. You can listen to us on the road. Go to Spotify, go to Twitch, go to TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and of course, Apple Podcast. So every week we're here with you to talk about real estate, to talk about local businesses, things you may want to know, may not want to know, things we can answer questions for you. Let us help you out. We're so grateful to be a part of your life on a weekly basis. And I'm so thankful to have Mike over here with me on the show today.
Thank you, Dave, for having me fill in last minute. I appreciate it.
And I mean, you're awesome. So Michael Christoforo, Guaranteed Rate Affinity, a phenomenal company for mortgages. Now, just remember that Guaranteed Rate Affinity is not just a local lender. It's a national company. This company is well known and sponsored by most Major League Baseball, NFL, hockey, all these associations because of the kind of company it is and what it presents for you as a buyer. Michael, 31 years in the business. Mike, you don't look old if you're 31 years in the business. Don't let the shaved head fool you. He's only 42 years old. That being said, he's got beautiful family, beautiful kids, and a hardworking person. A guy who's got a cell phone attached to him. I did make him shut it off this evening.
You did check it.
Because I want to make sure it's not ringing continuously through the whole program. All right. So, Michael, one of the things I want to talk about with you today is that Guaranteed Rate came out with a phenomenal new system, and it's called the Power Bid. Now, what does the Power Bid mean to you guys, and what is actually the definition? Power Bid means that you as a buyer have now stepped up 3 places ahead of any other buyer in the market because you're more than qualified. You're able to basically buy, close, and be clean as a whistle. But Michael, let's go into deeper what Power Bid is.
Sure.
So how does the process start for someone to go and become qualified, right? Not only qualified, but be qualified and have the ability to go and use the Power Bid system.
Okay, so basically, all the Power Bid is a full underwrite by an underwriter. So it is the same process that we go through if somebody comes to me with a contract and we get them fully approved with a underwriter. In this situation, we are having that whole underwrite done before they even find a house. That's basically the difference.
So what happens is you come, we talk, we say, let's go talk to Michael. Let's get qualified. Michael's going to ask you to fill an application out. Name, date of birth, social, documentation based on your jobs and your income and everything else. You're going to supply him with the documents. In the meantime, Michael, you're going to take that information and start supplying it and getting it ready to underwriting. Is that right?
Yep, once we have all that stuff, it goes right into underwriting. I should say it goes right to processing. Once the processor opens it and does what they need, it goes right into underwriting.
Now, your processor is someone very special. What was her name again?
No, that's Nicole.
Oh, Nicole.
You're thinking Ed.
Well,
yeah, I have 2 processors.
you have 2
I have a
processors.
first one and a second one. They're
Now,
both phenomenal.
Tell me who your processors are so we can just talk about them for a
Sure.
moment.
So Ed Gellin is my first processor. He's the one that picks up the file and runs with it from the time I submit until it's approved. Then once it's approved, it goes to Nicole.
Thank you, Ed, very much for your work. And then it goes to Nicole. Nicole, another rock star on your team.
Yeah, she is.
She takes all the documents. She puts them together, right?
Yep.
And then where does Samantha fall into place? Is she in that process at all?
No, Samantha used to be an assistant of mine, but now she has her own offices.
She's a rock star herself.
Yeah, she's excellent.
Love Samantha out there. Thank you so much, Samantha, being so awesome always as well. So you have Ed and Nicole, great people. They take the documents, one goes to the next goes to the other, and now they're getting that buyer in a position where they're actually able to close, subject to a house they find
And an appraisal.
and an appraisal. Now,
That's it.
there's more to talk about in that process. So you're a buyer, you want in this market where you're got so many people competing with you, It's so important that in this process that you're financially ready, mentally ready, and have everything into the lender right away. If you don't have all your documentation into the lender, what happens is you're now going to be 2, 3, 4 steps behind in making offers. And what's going to happen with that is you may not get accepted because the first thing your realtor is going to ask the agent, is your buyer qualified? Yes, we have a pre-approval. Okay. Who is that lender? Do we recognize that lender? Do you know them to be a good lender who closes deals? Reality. That's what we as agents do, right?
Yep.
If we're selling your house, we're job to protect you. By protecting you, the only way we can protect you is by researching your buyer on your house. Someone comes with a guaranteed rate mortgage pre-approval, and you see the word power bid approved, right? You now know that this person's gone through 3 and 4 steps in the process prior to making an offer on your house, giving you as a seller basically almost a cash buyer, right?
Yep.
And with that process, right, of the power bid, the applying process for the buyer, is it any different at all? Like, is there anything special that the buyer has to do?
Nope, it's the exact same thing. I mean, the only difference is they actually don't even electronically sign an application package. You know, they have my application, but then I submit it with all the tax returns, W-2s, bank statements, pay stubs, all that stuff, and then an underwriter reviews all of that.
We have to make sure that your information is accurate and all the numbers are calculated correctly because you don't like any curveballs. You don't want any surprises
Yep.
in the process of buying a house. You as a buyer want to have as less stress in your life as possible. That's why your realtor, who's supposed to be the person you trust the most, to refer the right people to you, including your inspectors, your attorneys, and
Yep.
first and foremost, your mortgage broker. So does this process guarantee a buyer to be able to buy a house?
It's as close as a guarantee as you're going to get, but I will not call it a guarantee.
The reason why you can't call it a guarantee, because what if they,
Lose their job.
or if they,
Yeah.
that could change things, obviously,
Yeah.
God forbid.
Yep.
That being said, when it comes to closing a deal, how fast can you close somebody? Making an offer today in a house with a power bid, how fast can you actually close
As
somebody?
fast as the appraisal can get done, and then we can just get it, you know, wrap up any final conditions are on there, and it goes right into closing. So we probably realistically can close it, you know, in probably 10 days to 2 weeks.
Could you imagine going to make an offer in a house, being able to let the other side know that you can close in 10 days or 14 days? That would blow everybody's minds away in your competition, for sure. Make sure you understand this process and why it's so important and how valuable it is to you as a buyer. There are many companies out there that have all sorts of gimmicky type things. Be alert. Be aware. Red flags should go off in your brain when you hear somebody say certain things to you. How well do you know the system? How well do you know the lender? How well and reputable are these lenders? Most of the time people go to a bank, right? And they want to get a mortgage.
Yep.
And they sit down with this wonderful person who they walk through the door sitting at the desk, who's probably not even a mortgage broker. They're probably just a person who accepts information. What do they call that? That's a person that is no, they
Teller.
a teller. Somebody comes in to take your information, then they take that information and they send it into the banking system. The banking system then gets to point A, you get a phone call from somebody from 1-800 number. Then it goes to person 2, another 1-800 number phone call. Then it goes to person 3. You have a cell phone number from Michael Christoforo. Your mortgage broker should give you their cell phone number. You know why? Because it's the most important person in your life right now when it comes to your finances. And if your mortgage broker does not give you a cell number, you should think about twice, in my opinion, whether that's the person you want to work with. You know why? This is the time that you need to have the most love and attention given to you in this process.
I like
If you agree with me, put a hello and a wave up in your hands and let everybody know that you do agree. And if you don't agree or have questions, let me know, let Michael know. You're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, you're on social media. Let's hear what you have to say. If you've purchased a home before, what kind of process have you been through? What kind of thoughts and feelings? Do you have any questions about this process? We're here to answer those questions here today.
I'd like to add one thing real quick. I spoke to one of your clients this morning.
Did you?
And it was very interesting because that client was turning around and qualified for a great number. And then I hung up the phone with the client, called the client back very quickly, and I said, hey, by the way, I'm going to approve you for this amount, but do you want a $2,900 payment? Because that's what you're going to be approved for. And the client said, I'm glad you called me back. I don't want a $2,900 payment. 2,200 max. Nowhere near the 2,900 that I was going to approve it. So it's really important to know what your payment's gonna be and what your closing costs are gonna be. And a lot of people are not even talking to people about that when they're pre-approving.
So you make a very good point. Any buyer that I've ever worked with before, and you can tell me right now, say it out loud, raise your hand, say something. You're always going to know, number one, what is the payment per month? What are the closing costs, right? What's involved dollars and cents for you in that purchase? I need to make sure that you, as the buyer, are emotionally and financially prepared to buy a house. What does that mean? Before we go shopping, I send Michael all the properties we're going to go see. And what Michael does, he runs the numbers and the properties here. Nobody does that. You know why? Because that takes time. That takes energy. But you know what Michael provides for you is emotional service, financial service. Michael, I'm putting you out there in front of the world.
I had no idea that I was.
With 10,000 people watching, maybe today might be a little higher. I mean, it's important for all of you to know and make sure to share this information that your lender, okay, most lenders, if I send them a list of properties that you want to go see, and I ask them for payments per month, do you know what they tell me? Yeah, I'm not doing that. You know why? Because it takes him hours to prepare it. But him doing that preparation for my clients, guess what happens? They walk into a house, they look at that house, and they don't know what 350, 450, 275, what a purchase price means. They need to know what that means per month on a payment. So that is purchase price, what your closing costs are, how much money you need altogether to make the deal work. And that is a service that is like no other. And I'm grateful for your time with that every time. All right,
pleasure.
let's go into a little more about appraisals. So in this process of buying a house, right, you go, well, what happens if I make an offer on a house and it doesn't appraise out? Or what does it mean to make an offer and you're waiving inspections and waiving appraisals? Well, there's things that certain lenders can provide for you, okay, that allow you as a buyer to be very financially secure, making offers that allows you to have the ability to waive an appraisal. How does that happen, Michael? What does exactly that mean? By the way, did we get that email from Samantha? Did she send it to you?
I have not looked at it. You made me shut down my phone.
I apologize.
Sorry about that. No, I haven't looked at it.
So, go ahead, I'm sorry.
What I was going to say, though, regarding that is, if you have a good sized down payment, you have options. If you don't have a down, if you're doing 3% down, there's really not a lot of options for waiving an appraisal or doing something like that. But 15, 20% down, we can waive an appraisal because we can always, as long as it comes in with 10% equity, we can do a single premium PMI.
So let's use real numbers, and I'm going to put us on the spot.
Sure.
If I need to pull up printout, we can do that with calculators. But let's say somebody's buying a house for $300,000, and they're putting down 10%, which is $30,000, right?
Yep.
So we can do, what can we do with that? How does that help the buyer to waive an appraisal? How can they do that? Give me an example.
So in that situation, let's
Do
change
20
it up a little bit more. Let's
Okay.
do 20% down,
Round bigger numbers.
and then let's say the appraisal doesn't come in, and it only
Let-
comes in,
280.
which would be, so I didn't, off of
sorry.
300? No,
Yeah.
okay, so you're losing 10% equity,
Not
because
even, but
the
yes.
appraisal didn't come in
Right.
accordingly. So we can still make the deal work even if it doesn't come in at that. So as long as we have that 10% equity, we can do a single premium PMI, finance it into the loan amount, so no more money out of the client's pocket, but we can still structure the deal and still put it together. And all they do is pay a few dollars more a month. Let's just say if we finance in $3,000, $4,000, the payment goes up by roughly $25 a month and they're done. They don't have to worry about
Let me
any
ask-
more money to
Let
make
me
up
ask you
for
a
that
question. Is
difference.
it possible for you to look at your email for a second for me?
Boy, you're really putting me on the
I'm
spot
putting you on the
right
spot.
now.
Is the phone able to just go to your email for 1 second? I wanted to see if we could find this email that Samantha was sending us. And what I'm going to do is have you send it to Jonathan, who's right in front of us over here. He's going to email you this documentation. And Jonathan, I'm going to ask you to take that document, if you are able to do it, and hopefully you can, and upload it onto the screen. Is that something possible you could do, Jonathan, for us? While we're talking, you can get that set up and
I
ready?
got it here.
All right. So
Samantha
I'm going to
sent
have
it.
you send this to Jonathan's email address, which maybe you should have him send it.
David, we have a
Yes.
question.
Oh, we have a question. Love questions.
Eric asks, how long does the underwriting period take on average?
Eric, thank you so much for asking that phenomenal question. So what's an average timeline for the underwriting system, underwriting? Now, there's two ways to answer that question. One without the power bid, and one with. So let's go without the power bid. What is a typical process for underwriting?
Right off the bat, I want to tell you, we are only as good as you as a client. The better you are at getting us the information, the better and the quicker we're going to be able to turn it around.
So that means that when we sit down and talk, you know how I am very aggressive about making sure documents are in. Which means number one, we actually go shopping until you have all documentation. My buyers do not go shopping for a house until they have all the documents in you, which means you're approved. And any realtor who's taking you out shopping, if you're out there shopping and you haven't provided documentation in advance, here's where you're going to lose. Guaranteed you're going to lose on making an offer and getting it accepted because you're now not approved. You're not approved at all. All right, so there are lots of creative solutions to getting a offer accepted, right? And one of those happens to be, we're talking about the home mortgage insurance premium PMI. What's it called?
Single premium PMI.
Premium PMI. So that's going back to this whole diagram that we're talking about.
Right.
And what that means is you get 1% of the purchase price. Is that right?
Ballpark depends on credit score and down payment. You know, if we reach certain tiers, so if they're 15%, let's say they put 20% down, we lost 5% equity, you know, that's still a 15%. That's going to be different than if you lost 10%. So it really depends. I shouldn't call it lost, but you literally are losing, so to speak.
It's not losing. It's money being
margin.
used for one area versus the other.
Right.
Gotcha. All right, we're going to come back to this. All right, so let's talk about buying versus renting. All right, so you're out there and you're renting today and you're spending, let's call it $1,500. Probably can't even find a rent for. I think the average rent's between $1,800 and $2,500 a month for rent today. Mm-hmm. How many phone calls am I getting from clients who are telling me that they've been renting for so many years in this place, and that their landlord just told them that the rent is going to go up to about $2,500, and they've been paying about $1,800. They're going to go up $700 a month on their rent, or they're selling. And a tenant's like, holy moly, I've been paying $1,800. Mm-hmm. The fact you're paying $1,800 a month for rent is just insane to begin with, because the amount of money you're losing and giving away and burning. If you take the 18 and you multiply it by 10, that's 18,000. Add another 4,000. You're at $22,000 a year. You're basically burning, right? Yep. Nothing to show for it. No tax write-offs. No tax benefits at all.
Can I cut you off for a second?
Please, absolutely.
That's one of the things that we've been hearing a lot from people who are really in the know for the market. They're basically saying that you're locking in a fixed payment for basically 30 years, where you can't do it on a rental, but rents could go up a lot over the next 30 years, but really the only thing that's going to go up on you is going to be if your insurance changes or your taxes. Other than that, you're locked in for 30 years on your housing payment for a long time. So even if you're stretching a little bit now, long term, it definitely makes a lot of sense.
All right, Jonathan was able to get up on the screen for you to see this amazing diagram to help us understand what this is called. Now, Michael, you have your phone, and you can look and walk through the steps of what they're looking at on the screen. Everybody, please do not hesitate to ask questions. Look at this diagram, understand what this means, and how it helps you out as a buyer, please. So, what is the purchase price in this house we're talking about over here?
What's that, 420? What's that, 420?
Yep, 20% down.
So basically, it's comparing two things side by side. One is one's showing that the appraisal only comes in at $380,000.
On a 420 purchase.
Right, and the other one's coming in at, at the full 20%.
Okay.
And basically, what's going on in this diagram is if you take a look, we're just basically picking up a PMI premium that we're financing into the loan. And when we finance it into the loan, basically it keeps the payment almost identical, and the closing cost, the amount of money out of pocket, is almost the same as well.
So what you're saying is, in putting down 20%, if the home appraisal, so you'll be able to waive an appraisal, okay? Your basically payment changes by how much? How much? I can't see the numbers. That's
I can't see them either.
So it goes from 2022. It's the same number. 202,220. Is that right?
It should be pretty darn close to it, to be honest with you. It's very close.
Actually.
Yeah, it
So
shouldn't change much.
That's pretty amazing
Well,
stuff.
but that could be that they're actually maybe not financing that in. I can't read it because I didn't bring my glasses, because I didn't realize I was going to be doing this, in all honesty.
I apologize.
But I've seen this before. They might just be paying that money rather than financing it. But with 10% equity, you are allowed to finance that in, which will almost keep your payment almost identical anyway.
Okay. Jonathan, we back on Facebook Live so they can see us in person and screen and in Instagram. I know that Instagram couldn't see that little visual. It was definitely something we'd be able to show on Facebook. With that being said, Jonathan, are there any other questions when we're talking about this stuff here? Because this is, of course, confusing and having questions. You know what, Jonathan, we're going to do is we're going to put on Michael's cell phone number on the screen. We'll get it up there for people to see. This way they can have questions and ask you in the future.
Call me anytime.
And make sure you reference that you saw him on the podcast and you have questions about what you want to know when it comes to mortgages. The guy's a genius, in my opinion. A great guy. You got his number on the screen already? Wow, that was impressive.
Very.
You know, this
Jonathan's
guy,
good.
He's
Give
good.
him a pay rate.
Yeah.
Pay increase.
I should note that this is because I just texted myself with the number, so I had it.
That's
Very good.
fantastic. All right, so
You're two
Um,
honest.
That's the only reason it was this quick.
that
Two
the
honest.
reason we were able to get this done, and we appreciate the fact that you can see it on the screen and refer back to it in the show later on. You can watch us in the replay. And again, more importantly, call Michael, ask him questions. He's a great guy.
Say it out loud for Instagram, Mike.
203
Yes.
314 7352. 203 314 7352.
We have a question too.
Let's go with the question on Instagram.
From S Fall. I don't know who that is, but viewer of
You
the
know,
show.
S. Fall, she's a wonderful woman. She's a great watcher of our shows. And thank you so much, Samantha, for reaching out. What kind of question you got, Samantha?
can a seller pay the premium closing for the buyer?
Can the seller pay the premium?
The single premium at
Yep.
closing for the buyer.
That's a great question, Samantha.
That's a great question. I'm not even sure what that means.
She wants to know if they're financing in $5,000 for that single premium PMI,
Yes.
can the seller pay it?
You mean like a closing cost?
That's right.
That's a very interesting. They could.
Yes,
In
up
all
to
actuality, okay, up to.
a certain percentage. It depends on
On the
what
purchase, right. The only challenge today in this market is, and we know, buyers today are not getting seller paid concessions. It's just not happening. Why? Because basically the sellers hold all the cards. You have so many buyers shopping out there, and it comes down to you as a buyer need to be able to have the money to make the deal happen. Now, would we like you to get closing costs? Absolutely. Is it going to happen? Unrealistically, and I want you to be aware of it and know it's not because of what we want, not that. It's just the sellers have so many buyers on the table. You need to have cash in hand. That's the end of the game.
or finance it.
Or financing it. Absolutely.
Yep. But
All
that
right.
is that's a great question though, Sam.
Great question, Sam. You get a star. And appreciate you paying attention and watching us in the show. We love you. Let's see. Making mortgage payments. So people always want to know, how can I reduce the 30-year mortgage of payments I have? How does someone go ahead and reduce 30 years into less payments in their mortgage? What can they do?
They can refinance it when rates get better,
Absolutely.
or they can turn around and they can make additional principal payments every month.
So how does a buyer go and make additional payments? Do they just add more into their payment per month?
That's right.
Or do they have to make sure they're going towards principal? Do they have to call the bank up? Do they go online? What's the,
Usually when you're making your payment every month, it tells you what your payment is. Let's pretend it's $1,000. And
Yeah.
then they said, would you like to add extra to principal, interest? Well, no, I think it's just principal or into taxes, escrow. So it allows you to allocate where you want to put that money every month.
when it comes to making a payment every month, and if you're able to put extra into that principal part of the payment, make sure it's principal, because if you put into the interest, you just burn the money again.
Yeah, no, I
So-
don't think you can. I think it is interest.
Is it
I'm sorry, I think it is principal, yes.
All right. If you go and take your payments, I heard you could split it in two, if your bank allows you to, and make 2 payments a month, which is every 2 weeks,
Which is bi-weekly.
bi-weekly, and that you could actually reduce 7 years of your 30-year
Right.
mortgage.
Right, which is basically bi-weekly, ends up working out to 13 payments a year rather than 12 payments a year. So you are literally making one additional payment per year.
Or if you have the ability to be responsible enough to do so, which, I mean,
Yep.
most of us don't do it logically, thinking about it, in a regular basis. But if you said every year this month I'm going to make an extra payment,
Yep.
right? You're going to reduce 7 years of mortgage. Now, here's the reality: most people are not in their home for 30 years.
Right.
But in the case that they do this, it's still going to have less money they owe and more money in equity they have in their house when it comes time to sell.
Absolutely.
So it's a
100%.
huge plus. If you have the ability to make an extra payment per month or extra payment per year, do it. If you can, don't put stress on yourself, or take a couple $100 a month and apply it towards the principal, which is it turns into a 1-year payment.
Yeah. I will just say one thing.
Yes.
I'm not a huge advocate for giving money to your mortgage company that you can no longer tap into and touch for 20 years or 23 years or whatever. So my whole thing is that's fine if you have that kind of disposable income and you want to use that, but I see a lot of people that are living paycheck to paycheck.
True.
And I'd rather see them with reserves and money that they have in a bank account to get through a tough time if a tough time comes, and it's another way of being able to do it. So once you give it to the bank, you cannot access that ever again to be able to help you in a life-changing situation.
So this is going to open up a couple more doors of categories that we like talking about.
Okay.
It really isn't mortgage conversation, but taking money and investing in your future. Now, how many of you are involved in investing in stocks and bonds? How many of you have a financial advisor? How many of you have never invested at all and don't know where to start? There's probably something you've heard people talk about, and people who have to know somebody to know somebody. It's not true anymore. You need a financial advisor in your life. And something also to consider looking into, if you haven't already, is look into crypto. Now, cryptocurrency. What is crypto? Let me tell you, number one, we are not experts. And I'm even less of an expert than Mike is in this conversation. Is that fair? So any information we're sharing with you is not financial advice.
Hell no.
This is not financial advice, but I'm going to tell you as your friend, it's a good place to start looking into investing, to put some money in your future, because the opportunities for you might be catastrophically huge. Is that fair to say that?
I think it's safe to say, but only invest whatever you're going to do that you're willing to lose.
100%.
When I started dabbling in crypto 2 years ago, just under 2 years ago, the market was, under $900 billion. I watched it go up to $3 trillion. And now I watched it right back down to 900 billion again. So literally, it's very, very volatile.
As is the stock market. And how
True.
many billions of dollars in the stock market? How high has it been?
I mean, the stock market is $100 trillion, market. It's 100 trillion, and we're only at less than a trillion today in the crypto market. So it's really at its infancy for sure.
So let's talk about crypto, because it's fun, it's exciting, it's nerve-wracking, and it's things that men and women should really learn about. Start to educate yourself as much as possible. There are a lot of great podcasters that are out there that are in the crypto world. Some of the ones that I have learned from you, BitBoy Crypto. Really nice guy, very funny guy. I really like our friend, oh my goodness, just drew a blank.
Digital asset investor.
Digital asset investor. And I like our, what's the guy that, the Bearable Bull. I like the Bearable Bull.
Yeah.
I love his
Yeah.
intro.
Yeah.
Because everything they talk about is very real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, all this information we're sharing with you is not financial advice, but you definitely start educating yourself as much into crypto as possible. There's definitely many ways to get involved in crypto. There's many different crypto, apps or
The exchanges.
exchanges to use. Learn about them. Educate yourself. Don't just go and see a commercial on something and think that's the one to do. Right?
Yeah, no, 100%. I would just say, besides the volatility that's in the crypto world right now,
Which is at the very bottom at this point.
It's not the very bottom yet.
But
we can certainly
it's
go.
pretty low.
Yeah, it's pretty low. We've been a lot higher. We're definitely down.
Yeah.
Can it go lower? Absolutely. Only put money in that you're willing to risk.
Like when you go to the casino, you don't go to the casino and go,
Yeah.
I'm bringing $500 and I'm not going to I'm gonna win. You know that the $500 is there to lose. Period.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
hope that-
ultimately, long-term, this will be a $10 trillion business. This will be a $20 trillion business. The thing is, you have to invest for the long term. You cannot be, this is not gambling as far as I'm
I
concerned.
would agree with you.
There is, there's a lot of gambling. There's a lot of cryptos that are gonna go to zero. They're gonna disappear.
There are a lot of cryptos that are worth absolute buckets. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Most of them will be. Most of them.
and by the way, when you see cryptocurrencies, you have cryptos that are like fractions of a penny you can buy, which we'll call them the penny stocks, or the not even penny stocks.
Whatever you wanna call them.
They're
Yeah.
the, let's call it the complete long shots. And then you have blue chip cryptos, right? Like a Bitcoin or something like an XRP, or you have, give me some more.
Ethereum.
Ethereum. You have, what else are some things to kind of follow and learn about? Would you suggest any?
Oh, well, there's a lot. I mean, here's the big thing. I mean, if you're going to start researching and learning, about it, I think you should really take a look at what the future is going to be. And, they're in the process of, I'm going to give you something. It's called ISO 20022.
ISO 20022.
Yep. Google it, look it up. It is the messaging formats for basically all of the banking in the coming years.
Yes.
By 2000, it was supposed to be rolled out, started this year. They're delaying it to up to 2025. But you got to understand, that is the future of where everything's going. And there's only a handful right now of cryptos that are already ISO compliant. So those are the long-term ones that will be a long-term hold that will be worth a lot, in my opinion.
And in my opinion as well. You may not be your opinion yet, and you may not agree, and it's okay. But do the research and
Yeah,
educate
do your own
yourself.
due diligence.
Start getting involved. Don't say because I'm 45, I'm 50, I'm 60, I'm 70, I'm too old. Guess what? You have a cell phone. When you first got your cell phone, it was a flip phone. And after your flip phone, they had a Crackberry. And after the Crackberry, they had the slide phone. After the slide phone, they had a, what was the next one after
I'm
that?
impressed that
Was
you
the
can
Apple
do
phone.
that.
I mean, there were so many different phones we got. Every time we had a new phone, we were like, oh my God, how am I going to learn this phone? And I know that anybody who's an Android says Android's the best. Anybody who's an Apple says Apple's the best. And usually you can't cross over from one to the other, right?
Right.
But you're able to learn, just like with technology, slowly at any age. My father, I remember when it came to like the computer, I don't need that computer. And then he got a computer and he started to learn how to, then I don't want Facebook. I don't want Instagram. And then later on, guess what? He got the Facebook and Instagram. And his excuse was he wanted to see his grandkids. But he started to learn how to use it.
I want to add one thing.
Yes.
It's very interesting. You were just talking about how you might have an Apple and I have an Android.
Yes.
And they can communicate with each other.
Yes.
How do they communicate with each other? They have a messaging system that's out there that allows them to be able to do that. Very similar to the ISO 20022 kind of protocol that allows banks to communicate with banks and transfer monies and do all those things. And this is what I'm talking about. We're at the infancy right now where it doesn't necessarily make sense to us, but we see that down the road, this is going to be the future.
It makes sense that what we have today is going to change. Just like when they first came out with Snapchat, and they first came out with TikTok, and they first came, all these things in technology are developing faster than you and I can even comprehend it. The young people, and I say young people, I mean the ages of, let's call it 15 to 20 to 25, that element of people grab onto technology and they've like become like, it's almost a new language, but they get it so quickly.
Yep.
And you and I, who are in our 40s, let's say, that, when it comes to technology, it's like, oh my God, I want to learn it. I can take it on a little bit, but I cannot take it as fast. When it comes to crypto as a whole, you may not understand everything. Start to learn about it. Start to do your research. Listen to people who are educated in this, who have been in the business a long time.
There's 5 states in the country right now that now will currently allow you to buy real estate using cryptocurrency. And I don't just mean like, hey, I got Bitcoin and I want to buy a house with it. They totally take the whole entire package of the house and they totally put it on the blockchain. And you can literally exchange properties.
All right,
So-
Michael, on the spot, what is a blockchain? Can you explain that?
I really honestly can't do it the justice that it needs, but basically it's every single thing is encrypted and put onto the system. So, like for example, title insurance. Title insurance, right now we're paying a lot of money for title insurance.
Yes.
When the blockchain comes, because everything is going to be encrypted and so forth, as I understand it, it's not going to be thousands of dollars for a large house. It might be pennies on the dollar because of the blockchain and the security of it, that it's going to totally change it. And that's basically what's happening right now in these 5 states that are now currently rolling that out. So it's going to be it's exciting time because we're seeing a change. And we're even hearing about more and more about it on the news. I mean, you're probably hearing central bank digital currencies. It's all over the news every day. Every country's talking about a central bank digital currency. That's crypto, and that's the blockchain, and that's the future.
When you go to watch the stock channels, and they have MSN, Fox, I don't even know all of them that they're out there, right? You have all these channels, and they talk about crypto. If you're out there and you're watching this show and you are knowledgeable in crypto, I want you on the show. Let's come out here, have some fun together, and let's talk about crypto. Let's educate people. And again, you're not giving financial advice, but you're educating the world, the people who are watching this program, and there are thousands of you watching. And share the shows with their friends and family members. We love that people share our shows. It's amazing how viral these shows go. But the most important thing is the content that people can relate to or want to learn about. Yep. So if you're out there, you want to learn about crypto, take the time to learn. Listen, we learn together as a family, as friends, because we are all allowed to be, able to bring people up, and to really help educate. Whether you're buying a house and selling a house and advertising and everything else involved, we are here for you. All right, we have been talking quite a bit. Cryptocurrency is the future. Make sure to pay attention to it. This is Mike. This is Dave. Eric's not here today. We miss and love him. He'll be here next week, and we'll talk more about real estate, if you will. All right, we are time for the tumbler giveaway. The end of the show. Mike, thank you so much again.
My pleasure.
And we hope to see who's going to be the lucky winner, and let's see who it is.
Vincent Puck from Instagram. PUC.
Vincent, thank you so much for being a member of our team and watching us every week. Please reach out to us. We want to get this tumbler over to you. It's a great tumbler to have. By the way, in this summertime, you can put lots of great beverages, hot or cold, ice or no ice.
I still have my ice and my iced coffee.
Me too. And iced coffee. I have my beverage of choice in here as well. Thank you so much for watching. Much love to you all every week for staying with us, watching us, learning with us together. And we hope that everything we share with you on a weekly basis is something you care about. Share with your friends and family. We'd love to work for you. We are your real estate team. We may not be your real estate agents yet. If you don't have somebody, we'd love to work for you. If you have somebody, make sure they're the best at what they do, and make sure you have a great mortgage broker with yourself working on those buying processes. This is Dave from Team Powerhouse. I'm going to see you both next week, all of you, and thank you so much for being here today. Have a wonderful evening.